Welcome, namaste. We are Miracles with a Twist Conversations. My name is Reverend Cardona. I'm here with Reverend Lisa Benton. She is a dear friend of mine. I call her Goddi Lisa because it's a term of endearment that was given to her back when she was living in the Bahamas. And maybe you can remind us a little bit about what that is and what that means to you. But first, I just want to say, I'll just say a quick hello and quick thank you before we go to that story, which I love so much. It's such a sweet story. We're here to unpack and dig deep on issues related to A Course in Miracles from an interfaith perspective, from a mystic's perspective, from an everyday spirituality perspective. And we hope that it gives everyone an opportunity to expand their minds and open their hearts to how to find peace and love and forgiveness and compassion to self and to others through the very wonderful times as well as the very difficult times of life, because both of those extremes are our experience, no way around it. So we want to say welcome. Let's start with a unifying breath, breathing into our hearts with a breath of life, connecting one to another. And with your second hand pressing against your first hand, feel your heartbeat. Take a moment to just feel your heartbeat and give thanks for the beating of your heart. And we give thanks as we take that journey from our heads to our hearts. For just this short conversation, we pray to be guided into a place of higher knowing, expanded consciousness, expanded compassion, knowing that when we are moving from our heads to our hearts, we allow for a holy instant to touch our entire being. And when we are filled with love and light, we can see ourselves as conduits of that love and light, and we pray to hold that light steady within us so that we can share it with one another. So another nice deep breath together. And exhaling into this moment. And giving thanks for this moment. Goddi Lisa, I would love for you to remind us of how you got that beautiful term of endearment, and then perhaps to introduce today's topic.
I sure would love to do both. I got the name Goddi from a little 2-year-old boy in the Bahamas. My husband and I were living there, and we lived on a private island, so parents were always working. And during the holidays, their children would come from their home islands and stay. So it was hard to manage childcare. So I wasn't allowed to work in the Bahamas because I didn't have a work visa. And so I was pretty much the Pied Piper. And one of the children that I had was a little 2-year-old who wasn't exactly little, but he was 2. And he was just so precious. I loved him. And he would come over practically every day and we'd watch TV and play. And he told his Grammy and his mommy, he would say to Grammy and Mommy, I want to go see Goddi. I want to go see Goddi. And they were like, well, Goddi's in Andros. That was his home island, Andros. And he's like, no, I want to go see my Goddi. Well, fast forward, he finally said, you call her Mrs. Benton. And it was me that he had been just given the name Goddi. And Goddi is a term of endearment for godmother in the Bahamas. And I just thought that was so beautiful. So when we decided what we wanted to be called when we were ordained, and as I've said before, I am a graduate and an ordinee of Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary. It was Goddi Lisa. I mean, that's all it could be. So that's that story.
I love that.
So thank you for asking me again, because I love it.
Just throwing that out because it occurred to me, it would be nice to hear the story again.
Yeah.
But why don't you introduce today's theme?
Okay, well, we all know that today is August 9th, and it's a pretty tough day in the United States. A lot has gone on with the government, and I don't feel it's appropriate for me at this time to start getting involved in everything that's going on. We all know that there's an investigation going on many levels, and people have very personal feelings about everything. It's not up to me to judge. So I'm not in a position to say anything about it, other than I think it's on our minds. Also, we here in Florida are very connected to what goes on in Haiti, and Haiti is being taken over by gangs, very organized street gangs. And so that's all in my head, and I pray for peace. And so I was thrilled that we had our class on Thursday, which was, we talked about chapter 11 from the teacher's manual, which is entitled, "How is Peace Possible in This World?" Well, was ever, a caption for today appropriate? And I just wanted to read just a line from that very short chapter, and it says, "It is not the world that makes peace seem impossible. It is the world you see that is impossible." And I thought, wow, that is so cool, and that helped me to get out of my head with all the crazy that was going on, and the destruction and the fear and just everything, and ask for a miracle, a shift in perspective. Help me to see things differently. And so I need to see the peace in this. And so it reminded me of, there's a Buddhist, I don't know what we would call it, a prayer or just a thought process or whatever. And it says, in order to have peace in the world, we must have peace in our country. In order to have peace in our countries, we must have peace in our communities. In order to have peace in our communities, we must have peace in our homes. And in order to have peace in our homes, we must have peace in our hearts. Mm. And I thought that's so perfect. And that's where I tried to go today. And that's where I am. I have peace in my heart. I am not saying stuff isn't going on that I wish I could fix just like that, but I can't. So I send out peace. Your beautiful meditation helped me with that, brought me right to where I'm supposed to be right now. And so to add to that, I would like to bring up what you shared with us on Thursday, RevLo, from Kenneth Wapnick. And it's entitled, "Forgive and You Will See This Differently." And so he said, "I do not have to change you." And let's face it, I think we're probably all thinking about things we could change in others, maybe even ourselves. "I do not have to punish you. I do not have to correct your behavior. I do not have to love you. I do not have to be nice to you. I just see you as the same as I am. That is all I have to do. And when I do that, the love that is inherent in my choosing, that will automatically extend through me, and I will say and be loving." Wow. "I will be comforting. I will say and do whatever it is that will be helpful, because my content now is the lesson of forgiveness, not the lesson of attack." And that was so perfect. And I have to state that Dr. Wapnick did not say wow. Me reading it was like, again, it's amazing. And that is what I thought this was so appropriate, again, for today, because in order to have peace, we have to have forgiveness in our hearts. Everything goes back to our hearts. And to that end, which made our Thursday night class, if you haven't seen it, please go back and see it, because it's very important. I'm making references to it. And RevLo just did an amazing job too. So please go back. You can see that on Facebook and on YouTube. And it's an amazing class. Did we get cut off? I think we did.
We did way toward the end. We got cut
yes,
off.
but so it's amazing.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with music this time. It had to, because we're using people who are sending me musical clips as opposed to pre-recorded music, which
Right.
we used to get cut off. This is just I believe it was just a weak internet issue because of the rain and all. But
Yeah.
it's toward the end of the class. So
Yeah, and we got cut off, and the power wasn't, although the power was turned off to the computer, the power was not turned off in what was being taught and what we were learning and what we were talking about. And you had said in the very beginning that you talked about how the East and the West look at things. And I thought that was very interesting, and it falls all in together here. In the West, we tend to think of our rights. I have the right to do this, I have the right to do that, they don't have the right to do this, they don't have the right to that, whatever. In the East, and in more towards my way of thinking, and I know yours, is the mystical end of thoughts, which is, how am I responsible to the collective? What are my responsibilities to the collective? And so that I try very hard to move when I am made crazy or making myself crazy, because that's what it's all about, is making myself crazy. And I want to not add to that, and I want to come out better for it. It's imperative that I start from within instead of without. Like, to say, I would rather not say, it is my right to free speech, so I can say blah, 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 or whatever about whatever is going on. What I try very hard to do, and I'm not suggesting for a moment, anyone, that people do not speak freely and not be censored. I believe that everyone should be able to speak freely from a place of love and kindness. That we can get all angry and everything, but when we speak, our words need to bring peace into our hearts. It may not bring peace to what's going on, but it needs to bring peace into our hearts. So I think about that, and I like to think of whatever is making me crazy, where can I find my connection with the divine? Where's my spark, my divine spark that keeps me connected with every single one of these people or situations? Because that's why I'm so disturbed, or I'm so happy, or whatever, is because I am so connected with everyone and everything. And I may not understand it, and I don't, but I know it. So I try to go to that connection. We are all children of God. We are all divine sparks. We are all waves in the ocean. And start there. And then as I move out to try to deal with the immediate situation, I'm looking at a brother, a sister, a neighbor, a friend, a pet, whatever. I'm looking at love instead of looking at judgment and just attack, as what Ken Wapnick said. It turns, the lesson is, it goes from attack to forgiveness. And so, and forgiveness, as we've talked about many, many times, is not saying, I forgive you, don't worry about it, it's no big deal. No, that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is far deeper than that. Forgiveness is not a pardon. Forgiveness is this is bigger than I am. God's got this. God's got us all. There's something going on that I don't know, but I do know I have love, and my job is to love. So that's where I am today, is seeing love everywhere. That I'm deliberately, I'm even going back into lessons in the very beginning, with our workbook, our lessons are this, that things don't exist, or I don't see this, or whatever, but I'm going back to, I can see things differently. And I need to do that to get through this beautiful day here in North Florida, with my dear friend RevLo and all of you who are listening. And so that's where I need to be. And at the same time, be aware of what's going on, but put something good into it. So there I am.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about something you said when you quoted Ken Wapnick. Oh, it's not actually what you said, it's what you read. The reminder of what I read was about you don't have to. He says, I don't have to be nice. I don't have to love you. And when I first read that, I thought, oh, that's interesting coming from Ken Wapnick. But what he
said, we had to love everybody.
but what he says is so gentle in terms of a reflection of A Course in Miracles, because A Course in Miracles is a very gentle path. It never tells you what you have to do. It is not a doctrine. It is not an indoctrinization. It is a reminder. It is a reminder of who you are and how you are. And the fact that there's certain things that we have to do to deconstruct those old messages, to deconstruct the ego, and to deconstruct those have to messages, what you must do, what you have to do, what you should do. You know, I think the Course uses the word should once or twice. That's it. And it's in a very gentle way. It never says you must do this. But what he says is very true and wisely presented, because I don't have to believe in the law of gravity, but if I step off the top of my house, I'm going to fall to the ground. You know, I don't have to care for you. I don't have to be nice to you. It's true, I don't. But what is that doing to me? What is that doing to my heart? What is that doing to our connection? And so then he moves from there into the realization that if I do see you as myself, as I do see you as a reflection of myself, then the transformation and the change in perception will occur. And I will automatically then, the shift, just like I would fall from the roof, I will fall from my ego, and I will then see you as my sister, and I will want to be kind to you, and I will want to love you. It's the
miracle.
It's a miracle that in two parts. You know, the miracle's in two parts. The first part is our change in perception, and the second part is what do we do with that change in perception? Yep. Like, how do we now become the new way, the representation of our new way of seeing and our new way of being? You know, I might want to be stronger. I don't have to go do any exercise, but I want to be stronger. I don't have to do exercise, but if I go out and do exercise, I will be stronger. So it's a logical transformation and progression from what I don't have to do. And that's the ego saying, I don't have to. That's that next part that you said of the mindset that says, I have rights. I don't have to do this because I have rights to that. But then when we start transforming from our head to our heart, all that stuff that's in our head, and we say, you know what, I do take responsibility for how I bring myself into the world, for how I exchange words with you, even my thoughts of you. I'm responsible for that. I don't just have to focus on my rights. I have to focus on my responsibilities. Again, I'm using the word have to in the understanding that when I do that, it will create something new. There will be a transformation. And that is what A Course in Miracles is telling us, that you don't have to do any of this. You might even find it absurd or shocking. You know, you might find it quite irritating. But if you do it, if you actually practice and do these lessons, you will start to see the change within yourself. And I love to use the analogy to the physical because most of us can relate to that. You know, anybody who caught their 19 extra pounds during COVID, they know that they didn't have to do anything about it, but if they wanted to, they had to change their diet and exercise.
Right.
You know, you had to do that. You know, I was like the only person who lost weight during COVID because I was a healthcare worker running up and down the halls. You know. But the theory still remains the same, right? The process of transformation is something that we have to make a conscious effort towards, and we do that by recognizing that once I make this change and I make the effort and I have the willingness and I have the commitment and the discipline to get up and do my spiritual practices, then I'm not going to stay balled up in a corner of my bed in my sorrow. You know, I can get up and start applying what we know to be true that allows us to have that conscious connection with spirit. And interestingly, you know, you brought up that today's August 9th and what happened yesterday, but we don't know when people will see this. So we don't know what's going to happen between now and
That's
forever.
That's exactly right. That's why I thought I'm not going, I can't get into specifics, but today we know something is going on.
Right. So it'd be interesting to see how life unfolds, you know, in Haiti and in our country. And if even if you and I just sit and look at this in the months to come to see, you know, not only what has happened in the world, but what has happened within us, within ourselves. And it's also the day after Olivia Newton-John died. She passed away yesterday. And one of the things, you know, tonight I'm having a full moon gathering on the beach in South Florida. You're North Florida, I'm South Florida. So I went back to look at some of her songs. She did a beautiful album after her successful healing journey when she had cancer back in, I think, 2006, 2007. And she put out an album called Grace and Gratitude. And it's a beautiful album. It has lots of Eastern type interludes between the songs, very beautiful. And she has this one song that I'm going to play tonight on the beach called Grace and Gratitude. And it says, thank you for life. And it talks about all the things that she's thankful for, all the things that she has gratitude for. And there are times when we just look at something and we say, how can I be grateful for that? It's just so horrible. It's just, so if we don't focus on the horror of something that happened, because we're going to have our human response to that, but we start to open ourselves to the things that occur around it, the people that show up, the love that shows up, I call it the wall of love that surrounds us, and that the fact that there's always going to be grace. And whenever there's grace, there's something to be grateful for. Anne Lamott, one of my favorite writers, she said once, grace shows up last. And it's because we're so focused on all our upset. And when we get to that quiet place, we can see, oh, here comes grace. Here comes the grace that allows us to see things differently, that allows us to see beyond the upset of the moment so that we can see beyond it, that we can see that light, you know, brush away the cloud and see the light behind. And so regardless of our circumstances in this country or in our personal lives, I'm going to join you in being that that heart of peace, to bring that peace to my heart, because peace begins with me, as the song says. And if I engage with others in the upset, there's not going to be peace within me. If there's not peace within me, I can't extend peace out to you. So sometimes it's the real simple little things that can upset us, and that we have to have a vigilance of. You know, I was speaking on Sunday as a guest speaker, and it came to me the concept of catch and release. You know, when we have these ideas that are hurtful to our hearts or judgmental or even maybe harsh against other people and other things, I say let's catch that and then release it. You know, release it to the Holy Spirit. Catch it while it's in us before it transforms us into bitterness. You know, catch and release. And it reminded me of a story that Ram Dass once told. He was such a good, kind example of the beauty of a heart, you know, and a human who can go through life with a lack of ego. And he tells the story of going to a speaking engagement, and they were saying, well, what can we get you? What can we bring you? What would you like to have there? And, you know, he was saying, you know, in all my humbleness, I was like, no, I don't want anything. No, don't go to any trouble. I just want a boom mic. I just want a boom mic. Do you remember the story? And you know, a boom mic is the mic that stands on an arm.
Right.
So you can move it around. You don't have to hold the mic. You can move it around, but you don't also have to stand steady. You know, like musicians, they have a steady mic and they sing into the mic. But a boom mic, it's a movable contraption. So he goes to this event and he's so happy that he's going to be there, and there's people coming to see him, and there's no boom mic. There's everything but a boom mic. And he said, oh my God, I forgot who Ram Dass was. And, you know, he got so upset, like, I only asked for one thing. I just wanted this one thing. And like, he was like in his upset about it. And like he kind of went off to the side and he was like, oh, I remember now. This is my opportunity to practice what I preach. I almost forgot. I almost forgot that boom, that absence of the boom mic is my teaching for today. It's my guru, the lost, and he was able to, in that moment, catch and release, let me catch my upset, let me release it, remember who I am, remember who you are, remember why I'm here, and rise above it. But he was humbly and honestly open to the realization of what was going on in his mind, that he was getting upset and thinking, how dare they, and that's part of happens to all of us, no matter how high we rise, there's days when we're just back down on the bumpy road, and we have to be continuously conscientious of where our minds are going, where our intentions are, where our hearts are. Our hearts more so than our minds, And so I'm so grateful for this opportunity to have this conversation, because I know we were both, feeling like, wow, how do we talk about peace if we're not feeling peaceful? And then we go through the process of oh, well, there's certain things I can do. I can open myself to spirit. I can step back and put my ego aside and put my judgments aside while I allow spirit to come in and remind me of what the truth really is. And so for today, our truth is that we want peace. And if we want peace, we can take the steps to find the peace within ourselves. May not change outer circumstances, but it won't change us to be bitter. It'll change us to be better, to rise above. And as I like to say, to pray harder, rise higher, love steadily, forgive readily.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Amen.
so I want to thank you for that. They're just wonderful. And I love the catch and release, because I spend all day long doing that. And the truth is that I got to the point where I can catch things before I go off my rocker a lot more frequently. I can't say always, but a lot more frequently through the use of the lessons from A Course in Miracles. So that really helps me to get in a good place to be more aware of something sooner, and so I can get rid of it sooner or transform it sooner or whatever. So to that end, we're going to end with just a little prayer from lesson 220, which is the last lesson of the first section.
Yes.
And the title is, of course, as has been the whole review period, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And I like that still. There is no peace except the peace of God. Let me not wander from the way of peace, for I am lost on other roads than this. But let me follow him who leads me home, and peace is certain as the love of God. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen to that. Blessed be. God bless you. God bless you, everyone. And this is Miracles with a Twist Conversations number 8. We'll see you again next week.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Namaste.